It is Wednesday, the 8th day of May 2019. Hello there and welcome to News Tonight. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. In our news tonight, Major General Eli Kayanja vows to stamp piracy out of Uganda. Uganda Broadcasting Corporation refutes claims of unbalanced coverage. Uganda announces second round of oil exploration licensing. Uganda Bureau of Statistics releases maiden agricultural producer price index. And South Africa has gone to the polls this Wednesday. A warm welcome to you once again, and we are coming to you live on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. In sign language, it is, as usual, Mogalu Mohammed, and I am Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. Now, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, has refuted claims by opposition that the corporation does not provide media platform to all political players. Now, UBC's Deputy Managing Director, Maurice Mojisha, describes as a lie a claim put forward by former leader of opposition, Winfred Kiza. Now, this was during an engagement between UBC management and Budget Committee of Parliament as the former sought additional funding to conclude the ongoing revamp process. Here is our reporter, Henry Okrut, to kickstart us.
The approval of an additional 18.5 billion shilling funding for UBC's revamp process late last month was not conclusive. This endorsement, made by the ICT Committee of Parliament, required another engagement with the Budget Committee. This is the reason why UBC team was here to seek an approval of this budget for financial year 2019-2020.
Some of this money was meant, or initially that was given to UBC for revamp, had actually gone to paying of debt that UBC had incurred. And this debt was from the UTV and Uganda Radio Times. So the reason we were here was to actually support the ICT sector chair, who was presenting our case before the Budget Committee for that 18.5 billion.
That additional fund that was gazetted for the revamp process should be found and it should be appropriated by Parliament such that UBC now can be put to a task that after the financial year they should be able to account for the money they have used, and also members should be able to see the value for money.
However, it is still not a walk in the park, as the team has been tasked to come up with a strategic plan before any approvals are made.
And so we are requesting government to invest, to inject new capital into UBC so that UBC can procure the equipment, can develop the content, can recruit staff and pay them adequate wages or salaries, and also can improve on the systems of management so that it can be efficient. That needs money.
We have asked for a strategic plan. We have asked for challenges which they face, like they have a number of debts, they have issues with a lot of idle staff, of course, who are constructed, whom you don't just send away without the required processes, which requires money. So we have asked UBC to bring their work plan and their strategic plan for the coming years on how to set them to real course, and then we can take it from that.
But as UBC looks forward to providing the strategic plan, questions regarding the corporation's objectivity, balance and fairness have been posed. Former leader of opposition, Winfred Kiza, says UBC provides one-sided coverage to the ruling government, a claim UBC's Deputy Managing Director, Maurice Mojisha, strongly refutes.
It hurts me to see that where I put my money, they deny me opportunity to talk simply because I'm in opposition, when they are not refusing my taxes as I pay the taxes to go to UBC. So management, as we give you the money to revamp UBC, also revise your method of allowing Ugandans to use your station.
We have consistently and continuously provided a platform for members of the opposition. Not so long ago, the leader of opposition was at UBC in our auditorium speaking about issues of women around Women's Day. We also did host the current president, who now has a new party, General Mugisha Muntu, and he was at UBC in our studios. We have continuously covered all the press conferences members of parliament of the opposition have been at and have made a case, whether it is Honorable Robert Chagulanyi or even Dr. Kiza Besigye. So we think some information could have been given to her that is not factual. But we did make a case. Even after our meeting here in the budget committee, we did speak to her and said all our platforms, including Gaya FM, which is in her constituency, are available for the members of opposition based on our mandate as UBC to be the national broadcaster.
The 18.5 billion additional funding for completion of UBC's revamp process, as recently approved by ICT Committee of Parliament, is currently before the Budget Committee, pending approval. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Now to other news, where African legislators have called for investigation of the body charged with administration of the Pan-African Parliament. Now this follows reports of corruption and embarrassing situations involving the body. Now, the concerns were brought up during the PAP debate ongoing in South Africa.
Following an alleged incident of corruption in last year's meeting in Kigali that led to blockage of PAP staff over unpaid bills, Pan-African legislators have called for a comprehensive investigation into the Pan-African administrative body.
We go to Kigali and the cost has ballooned. The details are not known, and I thought that in the activity report, they have done a number of investigations already, and only they should give a summary of it. Then the CAPA will come with the details. Because look, they have been overexpended to the extent that the Rwandan government had to insist that until the bills are settled, the clerk, the staff of PAP could not be allowed to leave Kigali. That's how terrible it was.
Whereas the PAP president, Roger Sinkondo, in his report presented to the House, said that PAP had approved a budget of 18.5 million, members were not convinced with the budgetary process. Members were, however, dismayed on why the report presented by the president failed to accommodate biting issues like corruption.
To hold sitting in Rwanda for the first time and have this backlash is a huge embarrassment on the image of PAP and how it organizes its activities and its expenditures. Nothing was said about it in the activity report, and for me, is something that we cannot just wish away. We went to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. The same thing came up, and I even moved a motion on the floor of this house that we should investigate it in a special way.
Now, this is not the first time that our Pan-African Parliament president does things irregularly.
PAP members also made complaints on why they are treated in an inferior manner as compared to their African Union counterparts.
The junior staffs are more important than us. We travel economy. They travel business. So why the hell do we go to places where our reports are not required, where our presence is not required, where nobody even takes you as a human being? Why do we do that? PAP is more important to Africa, and in our government, in our regions, we are very important people. But when it comes to PAP and AU and observation missions, we are nothing. I'm sorry to say that.
Controversies also arose on the recruitment procedures of some PAP staff, with the legislators blaming the president for being part of the controversy.
When we first came here, one of the controversies we had was the recruitment of the clerk to parliament. At that time, Honorable Beatrice Kiraso had the best scores in the interviews. And then the Bureau chose to pick the third best person who came from Malawi.
PAP is mandated to promote integration and development in Africa, strengthening institutional capacity and promoting human rights, democracy, and good governance. It's reported that in Kigali, staff of PAP were blocked from leaving the country due to failure to pay the expenses, as agreed by the host government. In the same meeting, 2 representatives from Côte d'Ivoire suffered suspension during the session.
The ongoings at the Pan-African Parliament, and of course that is very, very embarrassing, and of course cases of corruption being brought to light there. Now, pirates have been warned with immediate effect to stop duplicating or selling movies and songs without the consent and permission of the owners, or they risk facing prosecution. Major General Eli Kayanja from the Operation Wealth Creation, while launching a campaign by all actors in the entertainment industry dubbed United Against Piracy, said he is to ensure that the copyright law is implemented, as we hear in this report.
Selling duplicated material of movies, music and comedy is now a common practice and a good earning business, given that one CD of a foreign film costs between 1,000 and 1,500, while the local movies, known as Bina Uganda, are sold at 2,000 to 2,500 each. What matters to the customers is entertainment, period. They care less about the production and processes of these movies before getting to the stores. But majority of the people who sell such material are pirates. They breach the copyright law for selfish gains at the expense of the artists.
As artists, we cannot deny the fact that the pirates sometimes promote artists. Yes, it's the truth. It's money that they're having, because if we say we're just throwing them out of business, it's going to be a fight.
Now, under the leadership of Uganda Federation of Movie Industry, Music and Film Associations in creative industry have started an anti-piracy campaign with the aim of eliminating piracy.
Leave the ceremony. The film has reached all corners. It's in Gulu, Mbarara, everywhere. They are very well coordinated, even abroad. So the thing is really affecting the industry. People are running out. I call upon all people who are selling films, please come. And then the last thing is, whoever is using film, restaurants, bars, video libraries, the law says get a license.
The Secretary General, Uganda Performing Rights Society, James Wasula, says because of the digital environment, their productions end up on social media platforms without their knowledge. He urges government to amend the private copying levy law.
The copying levy, nti buli muntu ayingiza ekintu ekisobola okuteekebwako firimu, ekitabo oba music kigibwako omusolo.
While launching the campaign, Major General Eli Kayanja, who was commissioned by President Museveni to eradicate piracy, pledged to enforce the provisions in the Copyright and Neighbouring Rights Act 2006.
United Against Piracy officially. Make sure that they perform without any fear. They perform they do their duties without any problem at all. They have been complaining about some people who uses their films and they sell them at cheap price. So we are here to make sure that everything is done in a proper way.
The law on broadcasting requires television stations to air 70% local content. And the people in creative industry want government to come up with regulations for Nigerian films, Philippines and many others that have infiltrated their audience. I'm Navka Farida and Sana Anet in Kampala.
Thanks, Farida and Sana, for that report. And of course, let's shift gears now from entertainment to matters pertaining to the environment, where Natete is one of Kampala's suburbs with poor hygiene due to a number of closed settlements and poor drainage. Now, following frequent heavy rains, women under their umbrella body, Wonetha, have decided to engage Natete communities to be part and parcel of their own hygiene.
Poor hygiene is one of the causes of bacterial infections and airborne diseases like common colds, influenza, varicella zoster, which causes chicken pox among children, mumps and measles among others. However, this can all be prevented and avoided if one checks on their hygiene and Months ago, areas of Natete were suspected to have isolated cases of cholera following heavy downpour that caused bursting of drainage channels. just to hold the bull by the horns. Women under their umbrella body of Wonetha have engaged Natete communities in a regular cleaning and maintenance of their drainages. Together with Natete residents, Wonetha cleaned Natete Market and all the nearby drainage channels.
They buy food in this market, they buy home consumption in this market, so they should buy things in the market when it is clean. So we are promoting the hygiene of the community.
The area LC Wanbone Kabugo stressed the poor hygiene in his LC and poor maintenance of the drainage system. He, however, applauded Wonetha for extending the hygiene awareness campaign to his locality. Wonetha carried on the awareness campaign as a social corporate responsibility in commemoration of Labor Day. Story filed by Susan Nawonga, UBC News.
Now, civil society organizations have called on the recently appointed Tobacco Control Committee to demand from law enforcers a full enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act. Talibita Moses, the legal officer, Uganda National Health Consumers Organization, decries attempts by the tobacco industry to compromise the independence of implementing agencies. Now, this was during a press briefing at UNCO headquarters in Bukoto, also graced by the organization's executive director, Robina Kaitiri Timba.
These are the civil society expectations from the Tobacco Control Committee. Protect tobacco control policies from commercial and other vested interests of the tobacco industry. Because I must also say that there is an irreconcilable difference between tobacco control advocates and any such efforts that are geared towards protecting the public from tobacco exposure and those interests of the tobacco industry. We are those mountains that never meet. 2, demand the committee, we require of the committee to demand strict and full enforcement of all sections of the Tobacco Control Act from the law enforcers.
The committee needs to purpose to understand these tricks and be able to deal with them effectively. But also they have to keep their ear on the ground. They need to open their work to learning, because there's a lot that we can learn from, especially young people in vulnerable areas. What kind of tobacco they are consuming, how much are they paying for it, and what is happening to make sure that young people continue to sell.
We'll take a short break. We'll return with business news. Stay with us.